What is 392?
Project 392 is something that me and my close friend have been working a lot towards recently. I was sitting on my couch, had an idea that kind of came to me when I was scrolling through social media. It's a bunch of different young men that are talking about the idea of, you get the degree, you have the job, or it's hard to get the job. You once were an athlete and you're not an athlete anymore, and you want to compete but you're not good enough, or you're trying to hit all these different goals and it feels like you have nowhere else to turn. You want to achieve but you're not achieving enough. You want to be great but you're not even good enough. And I think it's really important because I just kind of want to signify that a lot of men hold in these certain ideas without talking to other men about it, and that they kind of feel alone. So Project 392 is the culmination of that. Trying to raise awareness that you're not alone, life doesn't need to be perfect, you're on the right path. And just with a little bit of self-discipline and some personal belief and good people around you, you can make a difference. And just day by day, you are doing the right things. You are doing enough.
Why 392 miles?
I was doing some scrolling, and given the fact that I'm from Arizona, I wanted it to mean something to me personally. I think a lot of the time we always want to take on these crazy feats and do the things, but there isn't a lot to anchor the purpose. For me, being from Arizona and running the distance of a state was very interesting. Matt Johnson, who's a big hybrid athlete out here in Texas, had run across Texas twice. And on Instagram, he posted, some of the things he was proud of. And one of them was running across Texas. And I said, that's a huge goal. I want to do an Ironman, but more so I want to run across the state of Arizona. And he put the eyes emoji. And from there, it inspired me. So being from Arizona, running across my home state, with the width of it, I guess, from west to east, just kind of meant something to me, kind of signifies who I am.
Why running?
Oh, good question. Running's always been a thing for me to kind of escape my mind, but also in the same way focus. People talk about running as a meditative state. They talk about the runner's high or being alone with your thoughts. It's nice because when you're running, it's almost like the Ford versus Ferrari movie when he talks about at a certain RPMs, you're moving and everything is just passing by you and time starts to slow. It's kind of like that. You're running, you can start to hear your breath. Everything else around you kind of fades off, and then you're left to yourself. I think that's a really good thing. And when you start working through endurance sports, you can't really question who you are. You can't really question the undeniable work that you've put in. It's either you've done the work or you haven't. You're either running or you're not. And I think it's the same way with, today's time. A lot of men want to find something to do. Well, you're going to find out if you're doing the hard work, if you're working hard enough to achieve the goals that you want, because you're going to get a stack of undeniable results that will tell a story about who you are and what you want. It's a good way to exercise discipline and be better every day.
Why mental health?
I think everybody has their own battles, and I'm not necessarily hoping to try and find a way for everybody to go and speak up or feel like they need to find this outlet or just dive so deeply into their problems, because I do think if you reminisce on a problem or ruminate on it, it doesn't help you. But I do think that everybody has their own personal struggles each and every day, especially young men. And that's, everybody in general. I just can speak for young men, given that I'm a young man. And in the time that I grew up, I know that we were told to get a degree. We were told to play the sports, be the athlete, be the best. And for me personally, I did all the things and I still wasn't happy. Actually, that's kind of how I met Gabe. Got into a whole conversation and talked about how life was moving so fast and it felt awesome. And in the same way, I wasn't like feeling the internal reward. And so I thought something was wrong. What ended up happening was just finding out that calling friends, having good people around me, people to talk to and kind of air out the idea that like, I am doing the right things. I am achieving things that most people would want. I am doing enough. And hearing that from other people was a positive, and not in the sense of like a need for recognition, but just to know that there's other people that kind of feel the same way that I do, and that we're all trying to run the same race. And you know, it's something that I feel like people don't necessarily address enough. Just raising awareness for that, I think the more people that talk about it, just even the idea that you can just call a friend and have that conversation, check in on them, see how they're feeling, how they're actually doing. I know us guys, we just want to talk just random conversations, hold random conversations, but I think when you do get down to that next layer, it is really positive, because then everybody wants to be better and those people make you better.
Who are you?
Just a kid from Arizona who likes to run. I was an athlete throughout college and all my life. I was very fortunate to do a lot of traveling throughout high school. I was very grateful to be a part of a really strong and high-level team. Doesn't mean I was always playing, because I was not always the best athlete, but I was always one of the hardest working, and that kind of carried through. And I got into some really good pharmacy schools after college. Didn't end up panning out. I moved to Texas, and I wanted to just start building that typical 9-to-5 everyday life, and I was doing it. And my own personal ideology of happiness and who I was supposed to be and all the things kind of got in the way. And through a lot of hard work and really good people and the right people in my circle, I was able to kind of overcome all the obstacles that had come from it. And now I'd like to think that I'm just a guy from Texas who likes to run. I run a few marathons a year. I've done one backyard ultra marathon, and now I want to conquer an Ironman next.
Why this?
Man, I didn't realize how good these questions were. You know, you kind of think of them and then you're like, wow. I think that I want to really, inspire somebody who's like me to just go out, tackle something every day. I tell everybody who hangs out with me that the skill of discipline can be applied into everything in your life, and that will change not only your life, but who you are. And then as you continue to change, you become better and you make the people around you better, to where it's this infectious feeling to where people want to attach to it, grow from it, learn from it. You know, I think my family, even Gabe, and some other very close friends like Mars and Chris, like, you give off this level of like efficiency and growth and desire for growth that it comes back to you. So I want to highlight that, like, by doing hard things, staying disciplined with a goal, even as something as large as it is, and someone as small as I am, not really much of a following, not a large creator, just trying to show that with daily action and a big goal, you can have a large impact. And so that's why Project 392.
What scares you about this challenge?
I would say it's twofold. Obviously, like on the surface, not finishing, getting injured, not completing it. Obviously, I have a lofty goal of like completing it in 15 days, not doing it in 15 days. Things like that scare me. I think the more worrisome thing to me would be not driving enough awareness. And I have a lofty goal of trying to get $10,000 worth of impact. That's a lot. That is so much. And it feels like a lot to kind of like fundraise. I've only fundraised when I was in college, and like that's a whole team of 40 guys. So doing that one person, just hoping and praying that somebody sees this and it impacts them enough to move them to want to raise awareness for the cause, A, and then B, be a part of the movement and what it means. Scares me that I won't do a strong enough job, a good enough job. So I think I'm really trying to overcome that.
How would you measure success from this project?
It kind of comes from impact, right? Like one of the things during our phone interviews, we were talking to the nonprofit organizations we were working with. One of the gentlemen with Heads Up Guys, he was fantastic, and he said, the number one thing I care about is awareness. Money's great, trying and doing the thing, even if you achieve it or if you don't, like all great. But raising awareness for men's mental health. And to me, what that kind of looks like is if even just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys from this end up just hopping on the phone, calling their friends and just being like, hey man, how are you actually doing? All of my friends know that personally who I am. I'm not a texter. I don't love the slow, mundane conversation. I love the opportunity to actually have a phone call or a FaceTime. It just feels more raw and genuine. And also, I love to be able to ask somebody over the phone or in person, how are you doing? And not just, hey man, I hope you're well. Because I think those spark up the greatest conversations, the best conversations, the more real ones. Because from there, you know, it can turn into a 2 a.m. yap sesh with your boy out in the garage. Or, hey, let's go ahead and work out because you got a busy week and I think it'd help you. Or whatever. So I think success looks like raising a good amount of awareness and following up with that. Just one to, you know, however many people, giving their buddies a call, just being like, hey man, I hope you're well. I want to know how you're doing. Let's hang out.